Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's Weekly Scoop, where we're doing things slightly differently and looking at the highlights of the news across our various platforms during the week, and also bringing you up to speed with the articles that are published today. So let's start with the most recent first. And today we're looking at unpacking the new King 5 Code of Corporate Governance. And we see two articles being published, one from Sanlam and one from ENS, where you will see the latest principles and updates on corporate governance and how these apply to organizations. Now, remember that organizations include retirement funds and life insurers, and the governing body referred to in the King 5 Code is obviously the Board of Trustees or the Board of Directors. It's worth a read, and I'm very interested to get some commentary from the industry around the tenure of independent professional members on a board on a governing board, and what that means for independent professional trustees on a board of trustees. So I have asked around for a couple of comments, and I'm looking forward to bringing you some of those answers in the coming weeks ahead of us. So that's King 5. The other popular topic that has come up this week is, of course, medical aids. And this is as many of us are either having to choose to remain or retain the current options that we're on, or possibly consider upgrading, or more than likely consider downgrading in light of increased costs. Again, a couple of articles today. The one I want to bring to your attention is from MedScheme, where they talk about the impact that a retirement age of 80 that has been bandied around our industry for a couple of months during the course of this year. This is obviously the fact that you or one generally cannot retire at 60 or 65, and people generally should be working later. And the number that's been kind of posted is that of 80, highlighting the issue that people are not saving enough for their retirement. Anyway, MedScheme takes an interesting perspective on this by looking at the downsides of retiring at 80. So you may very well retire with sufficient money to live on for the rest of your years, however long that might be at the age of 80. But what kind of physical health will you be in? And not only physical in terms of your body, but physical in terms of your mind and mental health. So it's an interesting take. Right. And as advisors, as we walk around advising people to possibly consider side hustles or second jobs, and having to think about working in retirement, which is some arbitrary date set at either 60, 62, 65, we need to also look at the downsides of that and the responsibilities that come with it. And certainly there are definite negatives that we should be talking about. Speaking of negatives, we've seen two administrative sanctions this week. The first was at the beginning of the week against Discovery Bank, and the second was yesterday against Harith General Partners. These administrative sanctions are part of the FSCA's ongoing supervision of conduct in our industry, and they are both relating to the Financial Intelligence Center Act. So if you'd like to know more about them, you can hop onto www.ebnet, and you'll be able to read up the actual notifications that were sent to these organizations, not to cause any kind of alarm, but really so that you can go and check your processes within your businesses and make sure that you are ticking those boxes. Not that compliance is a tick box, but we know that that the FIC Act has some choice tasks there that we all need to take care of. One thing that I did start doing this week was letting you know what was the previous day's most clicked article. And it's been interesting for me to see what individuals in our community are clicking on. And one of those that stood out for me was an article that we published on Black Friday. And the opportunity that this poses for scammers and possibly individuals clicking on incorrect links, and therefore increasing vulnerability to your IT infrastructure and your networks and software. So it is an interesting read, and the reason I'm pointing this out to you is it is something that our community read a lot of, but it is a worthwhile piece of collateral that as an information officer in your business, you may want to send out amongst your organization and just remind people that as we downhill into my second worst day of the year, which is Black Friday, the opportunity for scammers to hide in these links that pose as great deals or great sales is obviously elevated, and awareness needs to be brought to this, and just remind them to be very mindful of the links that they click on. Another article was around gold and AI. That was from Morningstar. You can go and read a little bit about that, and very interesting, right? When is the bubble going to burst? And it was yesterday when I had the first question posed to me. So Nat, when do you think markets are going to, the word crash was not used, but let's use the word correct. And given that it's my birthday next week, I'm hoping that it won't be on that day, because that's what I will forever be known as then. So gold and AI, a great conversation, certainly an ongoing conversation in 2025, and Morningstar talks more about that. Looking at EBNet Stream, very exciting developments there. Let's talk about the content first. We do have our exec meet and greet episode for this week is with Andre Nepgen, who is the head of Discovery Green. Now, sometimes to some of you, when I kind of talk about this conversation I had with Andre and how exciting it was to me, some of you have said, what is Discovery Green? So go and have a listen to that exec meet and greet. It's a great episode, and you can familiarize yourself both with the head of that business, but also what the business or what that business is up to. And will you be gymming for electricity points in the near future? Well, you'll have to go and listen and see. The second drop on EBNet Stream, which is really worth a watch, is the interview and conversation that I did with Belinda Sullivan at Alex Forbes. Now, this is an episode in our Industry Insights series where we look at the latest Mercer CFA Global Pensions Index and the improvements that South Africa experienced in our ratings. So it's not rankings, because that's not really what that index is there to do. It's more our ratings. And Belinda unpacks for us the meaningfulness of what this means. And it's good news, right? We saw our rating improve on this index, and a lot of that has to do with the successful implementation of Two-Pot. But we also see that a lot of work needs to be done, particularly around coverage. And if you go and read the Global Index report, and if you listen to Belinda, you'll see this really clear dichotomy that we have in our retirement environment or industry in South Africa, and really these very, very robust and sophisticated private pension sector, and then this very, I don't want to use the word bankrupt, but this very absent public retirement fund or public financial arrangement or savings vehicle available for South Africans. And it's this dichotomy that I think represents the opportunity in South Africa for our industry going forward. Go and have a listen to Belinda, and it's a great conversation, as I say.
EBNet is proud to bring you top quality content from experts across the financial services industry in South Africa and internationally, all for free. Your support helps us in doing this. All we ask is that you subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button below, share this video with others you think will benefit from it, and give us a thumbs up if you are enjoying the content. That way, you help us help you. Thank you from the team at EBNet. For more great content, please visit www.ebnet.co.za.
The other news that dropped this week was obviously the Finance Minister's medium-term budget policy statement. Great news, and again, echoing the commentary I made in last week's newsletters and last week's scoop. Great news, again, coming through for South Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa in the opportunities that are presented to us. So as we target a lower inflation, and as we start focusing, and I want to say demonstrating or evidencing investment and growth in infrastructure, investment and growth in GDP, we certainly become a great investment case for the world. And having said that, what would be a wonderful Christmas present is today if the S&P rating agency improves our ratings. It is a little bit premature, some of the economists are saying, but it is my birthday next week, so who knows? Maybe the S&P will remember that in their deliberations. The other interesting article that I published this week on our website, so again, that's www.ebnet.co.za, is around finfluencers. And what I'm doing right now, engaging you on social media and through various platforms. What does that mean when it comes to individuals out there who may be influencing or guiding product choices and investment decisions that the average South African or individual out there may be taking? So it's an interesting take. The article is around how does phase apply to that, and as we look at growing into this electronic world, this digital era, more and more we're going to start engaging with each other exactly like I'm doing right now. And that brings me to the other very exciting development, and that is that you can now catch the various EBNet stream series, the latest uploaded episodes, the latest conversations we're having with the industry through Apple and Spotify. So you can go and catch those as podcasts, whether you're in the gym, whether you're driving. My kids finally think I'm cool because I'm on Spotify. Who knew? And if that's possible, trust me, anything is possible. So go and enjoy that. Go follow us on our various social medias, and that being LinkedIn. Go and have, as I say, go and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcast, and you can stay up to date and be alerted as to when the latest conversations and the latest episodes in the various series that we are running are dropped. And it brings me to another point and another evolution, let's use a word, another evolution in our growth, and that is the podcast series which we will be running next year. So I don't want to spoiler alert, but there are some great ideas in the making with some very big thought leaders in our industry, and we're looking forward to taking that conversation to the next level. And while we're talking about taking conversations to the next level, in a couple of weeks' time, we have our next EBNet in the Moment live webinar. It is a roundtable rumble, which means there's a few people around the table. I hope they won't be rumbling, more like agreeing and encouraging a call to action, because the topic is around impact, sustainability, and infrastructure. And again, we see some of the great thought leaders in our industry. It's kindly sponsored by Stanlib Asset Management, bringing together some of the great minds around this topic and giving you the opportunity to listen to where the current conversation is. Don't miss an opportunity to listen to Alex Hetherington's views on this. He has an enormous amount of experience in this space. So that's looking forward. I think that summarizes the news of today and the news of the week. And I look forward to catching up with you next Friday when I will be 1 year older. Until then.